Hey everyone, Nick here again. Back to talk about The Walking Dead. Well, specifically, Fear the Walking Dead. The Season 3 2-episode premiere was the other night. And finally getting around to talking about it. Finally had a few days to think about what went down. And it's one of those things where it's like, after you give it some thought, it's like, wasn't quite as good as it was when you were watching it. Like, once you think about it, you realize that had some problems, actually. So, I'll start with the first episode. It felt a little rushed. I mean, right off the bat, we see that Madison, Travis, and Alicia have all been captured, even though at the end of last season they were just getting on the road going after Nick. I mean, they could have easily shown them getting captured. I mean, it didn't even need to be a long scene, but it just cuts to them being taken out of the truck and brought into this place. And then they get taken in, and Travis is coincidentally thrown in the same room as Nick and Luciana. That's another problem I have with the episode. There were a lot of coincidences going on. I mean, it was Travis and Nick ending up in the same room together, coincidentally. And then there was, after Alicia got away from Troy, the soldier, she's walking right by the sewer that Nick is in, that Nick and Luciana are in, and that's where she sees him. Like, he was literally walking right under the grate she happened to be walking by. But even before that, before Nick and Luciana got out, them, Travis, this guy named Steve, and a bunch of other random unnamed people were brought into a room, and of course all the unnamed people are killed by the soldiers who, I mean, I actually kind of like the idea of what the soldiers were doing, doing experiments, but obviously I don't approve of their methods, actually just killing innocent people to do it. Like, I thought it was an interesting idea. I always have kind of been interested in what the zombie biology is, but, I mean, not like that. I wouldn't kill innocent people to find out. So, yeah, that wasn't really... I don't approve of the actions they took. But yeah, they just happened to be the only ones not killed. And then, of course, they escape. And, I was starting to like Steve. He seemed like a good guy, but, of course, he didn't get very far. I didn't think he would. I hoped he would, but I was being realistic. I didn't think he would. So, I mean, I know I'm making it sound like I hated the episode, but I didn't. Because it was saved by the action scenes, which were amazing. I mean, Madison managed to do something I've never seen anyone do before. She held Troy at spoon point. She stuck a spoon in his eye and literally walked down the street with him. It was so nasty and so amazing, and I actually got a little more respect for Madison than I have, because I haven't really loved Madison so far, just because, I mean, I don't hate her, but she does a lot of stupid things sometimes. But, I mean, this one was flat out awesome, and I admire her for it. And then, of course, Travis got thrown into a pit full of walkers, and he fought them all off with just whatever he had at his disposal. Cinder blocks, pieces of rebar sticking out of the ground. I'm pretty sure he stomped a couple. I remember he was punching a few, which is when you know you're desperate. He took one, he slammed him right into a wall, and his head just exploded, which was pretty cool. And he emerged from that without a scratch. And Travis has been my favorite character since basically the first episode, and this just reinforced it, because he's gotten like, up to this point, he had become such a good survivor. And I really admired the direction he had gone in. I was a little disappointed that they got through this place pretty quick. I mean, it was teased at the end of last season, then they're out of there by the end of the first episode. I thought that felt a little abrupt. I mean, I know that kind of happened on the main show with Terminus, but that I don't know, that worked better. It's hard to explain, but it just did. Like, Terminus had been teased for a while, and like they knew going in that it was going to be probably pretty rough. I mean, I did think that they would be stuck there longer than just the first episode, but I mean, I like the way that it went. Here, felt a little rushed. Like I said, it was just rushed. But I mean, I did enjoy this episode, and also, the soldier in charge of killing innocent people for their experiments. His death, he got pulled into the wall, and his head was like bent all the way backwards. That was the most disgusting kill on this show so far, and I appreciate it. So yeah, just because I liked a lot of the ideas in the episode, and most of them paid off. Because of that, I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, it had some issues, but it was enjoyable to watch. So that was the first episode, which was called Eye of the Beholder, which, get it, Madison stuck a spoon in the guy's eye. Yeah. That was the first episode. The second episode was called A New Frontier. I don't know if that was intentionally done as a shout out to the Telltale game, but whatever. But yeah, sorry, my phone was being weird. So, the second episode gets started, and right off the bat, they kill Travis. And if you saw my reaction, you'll know that I was really caught off guard by it. And after giving it some thought, I've decided that his death was stupid. It really was. It was meaningless. It seemed to be done just for shock value. And, like, okay, I'll give the producers of the show the benefit of the doubt that they had to write Travis off because Cliff Curtis has been cast in the Avatar sequel. And, like, when I heard that, my first thought was, well, he's a goner on Fear the Walking Dead. But still, I thought that they'd give his death a little more dignity. He deserved a more dignified death. Like, if he had taken a bullet shielding Alicia or something, that would have been better. It would have been more dignified for him, but just the way that it happened, I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it went. And I didn't like the effect that it had on the episode, because the episode tried to move on and do other things. But I realized while I was editing my reaction that I missed a lot of the episode because I was preoccupied thinking about Travis's death. I mean, it was just so abrupt that I couldn't focus on what else was going on. It took me out of the show. I mean, like, you compare it to the premiere of the main show, of last season's premiere. Abraham and Glenn got killed, and they also got killed early in the episode, although not in the first 5 minutes. I mean, I was annoyed at first, actually, but now, in hindsight, thinking about it, I'm glad that Abraham and Glenn weren't killed off right away, like right in the first scene. Because, I mean, I don't know, maybe they could have done it better on that show, but here, it didn't work. And I think another difference there is that when Abraham and Glenn died, they didn't try to move on in that episode. There were no subplots or anything. Like, everything that happened afterwards was still just having to do with Abraham and Glenn's deaths. And there was no subplots. There was nothing else going on. It was all stemming from that. Like, the episode was about Rick being traumatized by what Negan has done and will continue to do to his group. So that's why that worked. I mean, maybe they could have done it in the beginning, and they could have done it right. But on Fear the Walking Dead, they did not do it right. I'm sorry to say. They really did not. It took me out of the episode. And another serious problem I had was when Madison found out that Travis was dead. She barely reacted. I think she shed one tear and then had trouble standing up next to a tree. That's as far as it went for her. And you compare her losing Travis to other people who have lost their significant others on the main show, and you really see how much of a disappointment her performance was. Like, just think about when Lori died, what Rick's reaction was. When Glenn died, what Maggie's reaction was. I mean, I know they weren't technically together, but Daryl's reaction when Beth died, I mean, I still think there may have possibly been something there that was unspoken, but never really got spoken, but I won't get into that right now. My point is, their performances were believable. You felt their pain. Kim Dickens' performance was just, like, almost robotic. And I'm sorry to say that. I really am, but that's just what I felt. But conversely, Alicia's performance, Alicia Debnam Carey, who plays Alicia, her performance was really good, I thought. She actually reacted, which, and I mean, she better react because she was there. She witnessed Travis die. She watched him open the helicopter door and throw himself out. So if she didn't react to that, then I would have gone right back to hating her. Because the first season, I despised Alicia with every fiber of my being. But she grew on me throughout season 2, and by the end, she was my second favorite character after Travis. So, like, Alicia has come a long way, and I thought that Alicia Debnam Carey's performance was really good. But for me, the highlight of the episode were the scenes with Strand still at the hotel, dealing with the overflow of new people coming in because Madison was stupid enough to turn the lights on. And like, Strand pretended to be a doctor, and I was like, wow, this is going to be interesting. And he, like, first he's just doing minimal stuff, like he's like taking pieces of shrapnel out of a kid's leg, which, you know, comparatively speaking, doesn't look that hard. Certainly not as hard as the next thing he had to do, which was deliver a woman's baby. And I could tell he was trying to get out of that one. Like, he was regretting saying that he was a doctor. And I like that. That was enjoyable to watch. But he successfully delivered the woman's baby, and then the people who were already at the hotel before they got there, their response is to kick him out, which I thought was really weird. But first he had to talk to one more person, which was the mother of the bride that Strand killed after realizing that she had been locked in the honeymoon suite in her zombie form, and in response her mother stabbed Strand for it. So Strand goes to see her, and I thought that was a really nice scene. It was showed Strand's human side, and it showed the mother of the bride she regretted what she did. Because I thought all of that was really good. I thought all that was really well done. And when he drove off in the end, in the wedding present, that really nice car, I mean, Strand just looked like the embodiment of cool. Like he just pulls the cover off of it in slow motion, and then he's like, my style and my color. And he just drives off, just like, he's just the man. Strand is a love him or hate him character, but you cannot say that he is boring. That's for sure. And in the end of the episode, it basically seemed like they were setting up the family to destroy this place. Like they're gonna retaliate and fight back and do what they have done to every other place they've been so far. Just find a way to ruin it. Because, I mean, this farm that they're at now does seem relatively functional, self-sustaining. Madison straight up said, we'll take this place over if we have to. Like, stop doing this to every single place you go to. Like, people say that a lot about the main show. Like, they just, Rick and his group destroy everything. But it is really true on Fear the Walking Dead. The only place that really has been destroyed by Rick's group, again, was Terminus. But that was because they trapped them there and tried to kill them and eat them, and they had done that to many other people and would have continued doing that to many other people if they hadn't. So they burned Terminus to the ground for the greater good. But here, I mean, it'll just be like, if they burn this place to the ground, it'll be just because they don't like them. And I don't like that, personally. So overall, I'm going to give this episode a 5 out of 10. It had some good moments, but overall, it's really showing why it's inferior to the main show. I mean, I never once expected it to be better, but I was at least hoping it'd be a little better than what it was for the premiere. I mean, I'm not going to give up on the show. I'll keep filming my reaction to it, but I hope that it gets better. And I'm certainly not going to stop doing my reactions because I just got in a compilation of reactions on The Walking Dead's Skybound YouTube channel, which was awesome for me. I couldn't believe they actually used my video. So that was really cool. I'm really happy about that. And here's hoping that I'm featured in more in the future. And I will post a link to that video in the description of this video. Well, that'll do it for now. I will see you next time.